to Versus Character Card.
What's up and welcome to Versus Character Cards, the Versus show without the verses. In this series, instead of analyzing two fighters to figure out who wins in a fight to the death, we are only covering one character at a time, researching who they are and what they can do. Kinda like a versus cheat sheet or a respect thread in video form, which is pretty neat because you can use the research in this video as a base for your own research in your own versus show. And be sure to stay tuned through the whole episode so you can see who we are covering next time. But today, it's Rasputin Aquato, the Psychonaut. This adventurous little acrobat from the mind of Tim Schafer may be tiny, but he's not to be underestimated. In fact, Raz may just be one of the most powerful psychics fiction has to offer, so let's dive in.
My name is Raz, and I'm the new intern.
Raz comes from a family of circus performers who conveniently just happen to hate psychics, because apparently one cursed them to die in water. As such, Raz was forced to practice his gift in secret and keep his powers hidden, until a mysterious stranger witnessed him one night and handed him a pamphlet to a psychic summer camp. In the middle of the night, he quietly runs away from home and heads to this summer camp to begin his training to become a Psychonaut. And thank goodness Raz is a bit of a prodigy, as he'd have to master all his psychic abilities in a single day when camp activities were interrupted by campers mysteriously losing their brains. Literally. And that evolved to a kidnapping plot and rescue mission, which then evolved to cult members trying to resurrect a hydrokinetic tyrant. But we're getting a bit ahead here. This video is about Raz himself, not Psychonauts as a whole. You'll have to play the games yourself to hear the rest of that story. Raz is filled to the brim with all kinds of different abilities. There's tons of basic ones like telekinesis, which he can use for grabbing objects and people, or just his standard brawling attacks. He can shoot psychic projectiles with his Psyblast ability, create shields with his Psychic Shield, create fire with pyrokinesis, and even levitate or float around with a little psychic ball. He can also make himself invisible. Then there are some abilities he has that aren't so basic, like slowing down time. Now, slowing down time is nothing new, plenty of characters in fiction can do that, but Raz is a bit different. See, Raz isn't just slowing down objects. According to the Psy King's description of this power, Raz is changing the speed of the object to whatever he wishes to perceive it as. He can even use this power to speed things up instead, and it works on enemies too. Raz can also throw confusion grenades to dizzy and stun his opponents, and he can use astral projection in two ways. The first way is by creating a crude duplicate that assists Raz in battle, either by healing him or fighting his opponents with him. And the second way has Raz create a physical double of himself that can travel into the minds of others and act in their mental world. Now, Raz has a psychic portal tool that makes that second form of astral projection easier to perform, but it's unknown if it's required for him to perform this or not. I'm gonna say he doesn't though, considering characters like Ford Cruller and Raz's own father, who hasn't even had a single day of psychic training, was able to do it without a psychic portal themselves. Next up is Raz's mental connection ability. He can use it to pull enemies close like Scorpion's "Get over here!" or use it like a grappling hook to tether between stray thoughts left behind by others. Raz may actually be a bit too skilled in this ability though, as with mental connection he was able to alter the personality of a fully trained Psychonaut soldier. He can manipulate thoughts, make decisions for people. He once gave a gambling addiction to the most careful and cautious person in the Psychonauts. It's a dangerous ability, and Raz has shown great remorse and made amends for this complete violation of free will, promising to never do it again. But in a versus debate, there'd be nothing holding him back. Then finally there's Raz's clairvoyance ability, which not only allows him to see through the eyes of others, but see exactly how they perceive him. It works on cameras too, allowing Raz to see through surveillance systems, and it even works on objects, allowing Raz to detect where the person who owns the object is located. He can even use all of his psychic abilities through the eyes of another person, so no matter where they're hiding, he can still reach them. One time, Raz used clairvoyance on a fish, to use clairvoyance on Sasha, to use clairvoyance on another fish, to use clairvoyance on Mila, to use clairvoyance on another fish, to use clairvoyance on Lily, to find Coach Oleander and use telekinesis. That's like 7 or more layers of clairvoyance from miles away, but thankfully we're finally done. When we come to Raz's feats and stats, he has some really impressive numbers, but there's also a catch, so don't get too excited. Now, to figure out Raz's strength, we had to determine if the mental worlds he travels to are real and physical, or all just metaphorical and stuff, and then we had to figure out how large they were. First up, yes, these mental worlds are real and have physical form. Raz was able to pull objects from them into the real world even when they didn't already exist there. For example, the suit he took from Dr. Lobato's mind. And as for the size, these mental worlds are no doubt entire universes of their own. Even while in a coma-like state for over a decade and suffering from extreme sensory deprivation, Helmut Faubert's mind was still able to conjure up an entire sky full of stars and solar systems in seconds. And this was a universe inside of another universe, with several pathways to other little pocket dimensions inside it. As for direct feats though, Raz was able to completely repair Ford Kroller's mind after it had been shattered by the Astrolaith, a device meant to destroy these mental worlds beyond repair. Even all the founders and co-founders of the Psychonauts combined couldn't do this level of work without the Astrolaith themselves. And this isn't just a mental world thing. According to Sasha, these psychic powers are stronger in the real world than they are when done through an astral projection in the mental world. So Raz's high universal psychic stats should carry over. Now just looking at the game, it doesn't seem like the verse should be this powerful. I mean, they're not exactly anime characters with spiky glowy hair shooting beams from every orifice. But with the lore and context of how the Psychonauts world works, it just makes sense. You were half right though, because here comes the catch. These super duper impressive high universal stats are just for Raz's psychic abilities. They do not scale to his physical body. Even when he attacks enemies, he's using telekinetic fists, not his own real fists. Now don't get me wrong, Raz isn't weak physically. He should still scale to Sasha and Mila, who survived the asylum explosion and survived abuse from Maligula, who washed away an entire city with her hydrokinesis. These city level stats are good, but nothing compared to the power of his own mind. Speed though is a lot easier. Physically, he's able to react to lasers from this tank in the mental world and in the real physical world, and he was able to use his time-slowing ability to pull thousands of stars to a complete stop as they shot across space. Thankfully, unlike Strength, there's no catch or monkey's paw with his speed, so faster than light plus sounds good. But with all of that said, now that Psychonauts has joined Versus, I can't wait to see what kind of matchups it spawns.
We're all now officially Junior Agents of the Psychonauts.
Junior?
I'll take it.
Time for the conclusion segment. In conclusion, at last, I've completed my collection of series to lead into Versus. I have my wall level series with Walking Dead, I have my city level series with Crash Bandicoot, I have my planet level series with Ape Escape. I would say Tekken, but I'm no longer the only one talking about that series in Versus in great detail. I have my solar system level and higher series with Rayman, and now I have my universal series with Psychonauts. Now, Raz is especially interesting because of that weird catch in his stats. He may have high universal level psychic abilities, but only town and city level physical stats. So most versus matches with Raz wouldn't really be determined by physical stats, but rather if his opponent could withstand his psychic attacks or not. For a quick example, let's say Raz is fighting Android 19 and Dr. Giraud. Raz would be able to defeat Dr. Giraud no problem because Dr. Giraud still uses his real brain and has no known resistance to psychic abilities. Meanwhile, Android 19, despite being equal, possibly even weaker than Dr. Giraud, would be able to handle Raz just fine since they're entirely mechanical, including their brain. So you know, it's interesting. A popular matchup for Raz is Ness from Earthbound. I'll have to look into that one, but let me know if you have any other ideas, and I'll see you guys next time.
Next time on Versus Character Cards, it's Dr. Neo Cortex from Crash Bandicoot.